People always say betrayal hurts the most when it comes from the person you trust with your whole heart. I never understood that saying until my husband destroyed our marriage with the one person I saw almost every single day, our neighbor. What started as small suspicions turned into a nightmare that changed my life forever. This is the story of how I discovered my husband's affair, the lies they told, and the revenge karma served in the end. If you enjoy dramatic relationship stories filled with betrayal, secrets, and shocking twists, make sure you subscribe to Cheating Stories. I used to believe my marriage was perfect. My husband Daniel and I had been married for 8 years. We lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood where everybody knew each other. We had a beautiful house with a white fence, a golden retriever named Coco, and what looked like the ideal life from the outside. Daniel worked as an accountant while I worked remotely as a graphic designer. Our schedules were different, but we always made time for dinner together every evening. Or at least we used to. About 6 months before I discovered the affair, Daniel started changing. At first, it was subtle. He became distant, always glued to his phone, smiling at messages he quickly hid whenever I walked into the room. I asked him about it one night while we were watching television. "Who keeps texting you?" I asked casually. He barely looked up from his phone. "Just work stuff." At 10 p.m., it didn't make sense, but I ignored the uneasy feeling in my stomach. Then came the late-night work meetings. Daniel suddenly had endless excuses for why he couldn't come home on time. Audit season, extra projects, emergency meetings. One night, he came home smelling like expensive perfume. Not mine. I remember standing in the kitchen pretending not to notice while he kissed my cheek. "You okay?" he asked. "Fine," I lied, but I wasn't fine. Deep down, I knew something was wrong. The worst part was that our neighbor, Melissa, suddenly became overly friendly around the same time. Melissa had moved next door with her husband about 2 years earlier. She was one of those women who always looked flawless no matter the time of day. Perfect blonde hair, tight gym outfits, glossy lips, and a fake sweet personality. I never fully trusted her. Every time Daniel was outside mowing the lawn or washing the car, Melissa somehow magically appeared. "Oh, Daniel, can you help me carry this? Daniel, can you look at my Wi-Fi? Daniel, you're so handy." It annoyed me, but I didn't want to seem insecure. One afternoon, I came home from grocery shopping earlier than expected. As I walked toward the house, I noticed Daniel standing outside Melissa's front door. He looked startled when he saw me. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "Melissa needed help fixing her kitchen sink," he replied too quickly. I looked past him and saw Melissa standing inside wearing a silk robe. In the middle of the afternoon, my stomach twisted. That night I confronted him. "Something feels off between you and Melissa." Daniel laughed. "You're being paranoid." Paranoid. That word made me feel guilty for even questioning him. So once again, I pushed my suspicions aside. But the signs kept piling up. Daniel became colder toward me. He stopped touching me, stopped complimenting me, stopped asking about my day. Yet somehow, he always seemed energized whenever Melissa was around. Then one Saturday morning, everything changed. Daniel told me he had to work overtime. I kissed him goodbye and watched him drive away. About an hour later, I realized he had forgotten his laptop charger. I decided to drive to his office and surprise him with coffee. But when I got there, the building was closed. Closed. I called him immediately. No answer. That strange feeling returned stronger than ever. I sat in my car staring at the empty office parking lot while my heart pounded. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I drove back home quietly and parked down the street. From there, I had a perfect view of our house. 20 minutes later, I saw Daniel's car pulling into Melissa's driveway. I froze. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe then I saw Melissa come outside wearing tiny shorts and a tank top. She smiled as Daniel walked toward her, and then she kissed him. Not a friendly kiss, a passionate, familiar kiss. My entire world shattered in that moment. I couldn't breathe. I watched my husband wrap his arms around her waist before they disappeared inside her house together. I don't remember driving away. I only remember crying so hard I had to pull over because I couldn't see the road. The betrayal hit differently because it wasn't some random woman. It was my neighbor, someone who smiled in my face almost every day, someone who had eaten dinner in my home. That night, Daniel came home acting normal. I sat at the kitchen table staring at him while he loosened his tie. "How was work?" I asked. "Busy," he said. The lie rolled off his tongue so effortlessly. I almost admired it. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something at him. But instead, I smiled, because at that moment, I decided something. I wasn't going to confront him yet. I wanted proof. Over the next 2 weeks, I gathered everything. Phone records, photos, videos, even security camera footage from our porch showing him sneaking into Melissa's house whenever her husband left for work. The deeper I looked, the worse it became. The affair had been going on for almost a year. A year. While I cooked his meals, washed his clothes, supported him emotionally, and loved him faithfully, he was sleeping with the woman next door. But the biggest shock came when I discovered Melissa's husband had absolutely no idea. Poor Ethan. He worked long hours as a truck driver and trusted both of them completely. I debated whether to tell him. Part of me wanted to stay out of it, but another part of me thought he deserved the truth just as much as I did. So I made a plan. A week later, our neighborhood held its annual summer barbecue. Everyone attended. Families, children, couples, the entire street gathered together with food, music, and drinks, including Melissa and Ethan, including Daniel and me. I acted perfectly normal all evening. Too normal. Daniel probably thought he had gotten away with everything. Melissa kept giving him sneaky little looks while pretending to chat with other neighbors. It made me sick. Then came the moment. Someone suggested showing photos from the community Facebook group on the projector screen for fun. Perfect. Because earlier that day, I had uploaded something very special onto the shared USB drive. As everyone gathered around laughing and talking, the slideshow began. Pictures of gardens, pets, kids playing. Then suddenly, a photo of Daniel kissing Melissa outside her house appeared on the giant screen. The entire crowd went silent. Then another photo appeared, and another, and another. Videos followed. Daniel sneaking into her house, Melissa kissing him goodbye, them holding hands in public. Gasps spread through the crowd. Melissa's face turned white. Daniel looked like he'd seen a ghost. Ethan stood frozen staring at the screen. "What the hell is this?" he asked quietly. Nobody answered. I finally stood up. "This," I said calmly, "is what our spouses have been doing behind our backs for the past year." Chaos exploded instantly. Melissa started crying. Daniel rushed toward me. "You were insane!" he shouted. "No," I replied. "I'm done being lied to." Ethan looked devastated. He turned to Melissa with tears in his eyes. "Tell me it's not true." She couldn't. That was answer enough. The barbecue ended in complete disaster. People whispered for weeks afterward. Melissa moved out less than a month later. Apparently, Ethan divorced her almost immediately. As for Daniel, he begged me for another chance. He cried, apologized, promised therapy, promised he'd change. But once trust is broken like that, there's no repairing it. I filed for divorce 3 weeks later. The process was painful, but strangely freeing. For the first time in years, I realized how much of myself I had lost trying to keep my marriage together while Daniel destroyed it behind my back. The funny thing about karma is that it works quietly. About a year after the divorce, I heard through mutual friends that Daniel and Melissa had officially started dating after ruining both marriages. But their relationship didn't last long. Without the secrecy and excitement of the affair, they quickly turned toxic. Constant arguments, jealousy, distrust. Imagine that to cheaters unable to trust each other. Eventually, Melissa cheated on him too. When I heard the news, I laughed harder than I probably should have. Meanwhile, my life improved in ways I never expected. I started traveling. I focused on my career. I rebuilt my confidence piece by piece. And eventually, I met someone new, someone honest, someone kind, someone who never made me question my worth. Looking back now, I realize Daniel didn't destroy my life. He destroyed the illusion I was living in. And honestly, that turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. So, if you're listening to this story while going through betrayal yourself, remember this: sometimes losing the person you thought you loved is actually the first step toward finding peace. And cheaters, they almost always destroy themselves in the end. Thank you for listening to this story on cheating stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more dramatic cheating stories, relationship betrayals, and shocking revenge endings.